Thank you for coming through. I'm honored to have you, Bongani Gosa. I want to get into the first question of the show. What inspired you to start BWD Advertising, and what problem were you trying to solve? Just touch, go back into the aspect of where you're selling manure at age 16, and yeah, where you're coming from, man. Just let's dive in there, and then yeah, we
Um,
can.
in terms of business, I'm guessing I can say I would have started a little bit earlier in my life, as you would know, that I started selling manure at age 17. So when you look at it, or when I look at it now, I can say at the time I had so when I was young at the age, I had a problem of not having cash because during school holidays, my mom would not necessarily give me pocket money to school because there's food in the fridge. You're not going anywhere, so you don't need money. But I wanted cash, so I had a problem. Then there was because there's cows at home. Then I just packaged um, uh, the cow dung into manure, packaged it nicely so that then I can sell it. Then I went basically door to door on foot, selling across the village. What would then happen is that when my dad comes back from work, then I'll take his bakkie, load my stock, go deliver stock, get paid. So at the time, I was solving for simple problem that I just don't want to be broke. Let me do something about it, right? So that was then when I was 16. Then later, then I went to what was then Vets Tech, which is now UJ. So at UJ, I studied IT, a stream called software development. So as I was studying, I kind of, during my second year, I then tried to figure out like what kind of business in IT, what kind of business is it that I can start as soon as I'm done with school, or maybe 2 years out of school. So the challenge that I kind of saw is that the bulk of the stuff that we're doing needed like a big team. But then I realized that no, in terms of web design, you don't necessarily need a big team. There you can just run solo, and then you can still do something that people can pay for. At the time, it was still Vestec, I remember. So in my class, I would have been the person that can design the nicest websites. I also met with the guy that was managing the whole school's, like the webmaster for the school. The guy's name is Mark Stent. He's a bodybuilder. You can Google him. He's somewhere on the internet. I'm not sure what he's doing now. But at the time, he was still a bodybuilder and he was a webmaster for the school. And then I sat with them maybe once or twice. He just took me through how things work in terms of like managing something that's big and stuff like that. And then, okay, third year, I finished my diploma, and then I worked different jobs from 2004 to 2006. So 2006, that's when that I started the company. So if I have to be honest, like I said, from the time I was already in school, I knew that I wanted to be in business, and I tried to learn as much as possible in terms of the business that I wanted to pursue. And then, yeah, then I started the business in 2016. I think I would have been, I don't know, 22 or between 22, 24. I can't remember how old I was. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how the business started.
In your previous interview, you've done it. I don't know if it was years back. You touched on mentors or people or guiding influences as you stepped into the world of advertising and branding. You said they could have helped you reduce the time it would take for anyone to grow their own business. And also, like, how did you get through the lonely journey of entrepreneurship, right? Because it's always lonely to be in this. routes that no one is taking?
I guess to entrepreneur, I'm sorry, to mentorship, I would encourage anyone that is doing some kind of entrepreneurship, that is running some kind of business, to try get a mentor early. When I mean early, I mean when you're at least after like a year of running the business, then try get a mentor. Don't just try get a necessarily a mentor when you're beginning, because we can't. Let's say you're trying to get advice from someone. Ideally, you want to ask questions of something that you've tried that has not worked as fast or achieved the results as quick as you want. And then you're like, okay, how can I do this better? Instead of, because if you try to get a mentor a bit too early, you're going to ask questions that you can easily Google, and then you're going to just frustrate the person that's trying to mentor you and push you to that next level. So just push at least a year. Then after a year, then go to someone that's in something similar to what you do. Then just chat to them, get them to help you get to that next level. And in terms of the journey of entrepreneurship, I guess it's been fun. I can't say it's been lonely in any shape or form, because there's when you're starting, there's always problems. So the problems will keep you busy, will keep you entertained, will keep you stressing, will keep you excited. So you experience all kinds of emotion. There's no loneliness to be honest. So yeah, that's how I can answer.
Can you share what it was like building a business from your bedroom and what kept you going in these early days?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it would just be me wanting to succeed in business. Um, when you put it like that, saying in your bedroom, it remind me that in the beginning, when I started, I used to do cold calls. So I would take there's that yellow book, the telecom yellow book. I just can't remember what it's called. It had phone numbers of everyone. I think they stopped it now because they don't print people's phone numbers there. Then I would just take that book and then just start making calls. That's how I got my first clients in the first 2 years, from making cold calls uh, from that book. So when there was no work, I was doing business development, and I was doing business that those cold calls on a public phone. Yeah. So yeah.
What differentiates BWD Advertising from other agencies, and how have you maintained your authenticity in a crowded space?
So I guess what makes us different is that we help brands grow mainly by creating simple, beautiful, and high-performing digital experiences that drive results. So we mainly exist to transform complexity into clarity through design, strategy, and technology. So that's who we are. That's what we do. That what sets us apart.
What were some pivotal moments or campaigns that helped shift BWD Advertising from small agency into a major player it is today?
I think I think the biggest campaign we worked on was Allergex from at the company Edcorp, because we had the account for I think 5 or 6 years. It was the whole thing was 360. So we're doing almost not yeah everything related to the Allergex brand. To this day, I still see. I mean, we lost the account I think 2 years ago after the company was bought by Bidvest. But to this day, I still see our work when you go to pharmacies, like when there's like some Allergex stuff. So some of our work is still there. And yeah, so that's Allergex is the one account, I guess, that I can argue that kind of took us to the next level.
And how did you scale the company? Basically, for anyone who's looking for advice in scaling their business, whether it's employee growth rates or the revenue that is produced per year for the company.
So in terms of growth, to be honest, for me, I see growth coming from new business or generating more revenue from from your existing clients. But money is more into getting new business. So you just need to get new business that is decent, and then from there you can decide if you're happy or you want more, because obviously you'll be controlled by different factors. Let's say hypothetically, you are in a 150 square office, 150 square office, you can't have more than 15 people. Okay, do you want to stay in that space or do you want to move? Then it's just entirely up to you in terms of your level of comfort when it comes to growth. But you have to chase after new business all the time, because another issue with the type of work that we do is that if you get like what would be termed a long-term contract, it'll be like 3 years. If you're lucky, it'll be 5 years. So after the 3 years, um, if that is your anchor client and they leave, you're going to now be forced to retrench people and stuff like that. And you obviously don't want that. So you need to always be chasing new business so that you don't end up into trouble and you're not forced to retrench people.
What is one of your biggest challenges in growing your company?
The biggest challenge, if I have to be honest, it's business development. It is still tough to this day. It's just that we kind of um, our business is fairly stable, so we would like to do more, but business development still remains a bit of a challenge.
Its mental frameworks have helped you build resilience in both business and life in general.
I think my approach is that don't get yourself overwhelmed by problems, especially when you're an entrepreneur, because it's your job to handle problems. Uh, you can't stress too much, or uh, you must just experience negative emotions for a short period space of time, and then move on to the next emotion. But don't get too stuck in negative emotions, because otherwise you're not going anywhere. Not that you are too optimistic in life, things are going to be well. No, no, no. But just be realistic that if something wrong happens, it's not a problem. It's part of entrepreneurship. There's a chance that next week something else is going to go wrong, and the next week something else will. Just need to move and then try to do your best.
I mean, you've touched on building your brand in terms of cold calling clients, but were there funders in your company? Like, how did you get that structure properly built in terms of actually getting people of our organization to actually fund your company? For anyone who's looking for to get funds nowadays, they try to touch on governments, but are governments really cooperating with? Because touching on this question where like for people who are looking to pitch their business nowadays in this landscape of government and whether they're using setup, I don't know what that they use to get funding for their organization whatsoever. Like I'm sure there was definitely a sponsor or an organization that actually help you propel your career um um with with your advertising campaign and stuff like that. I'm sure there was funding at the end of the day. You weren't working alone. and actually scale your business to the way it is now? For anyone who's looking at advice for actually that kind of exposure or funding.
It's an interesting question. So with us, realistically, we have in the beginning stages of the company, we never got funding, right? In terms of money. But I remember 2009, I think until 2011 or 12. Yeah, 2009 to 2011, somewhere there. There was a company that sponsored us with free office space, which kind of helped us because it means we didn't have to spend money paying for an office. So that's the only type of I could say sponsorship or assistance we received in the beginning stage, but we never actually got money cash, like here's some money.
What's the biggest failure that taught you a powerful lesson? And what is your biggest philosophy or book that you can actually share with us today as we're closing off?
Uh, my biggest failure. I can't. I'm just trying to single. I can't necessarily single out one big failure if I'm trying to think. Yeah, because throughout the 18 years, there's just been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So it has not necessarily been smooth sailing. And I can't necessarily point out to one thing and say this was a huge flop because I kind of look at problem as more like stepping stones. So I step on them to go up. I learn from them, and then I just
No,
go to the
I'm
next
asking
step.
this because I want to know, since you're 100% black owned company, like what is the biggest lesson you've learned in actually getting in or breaking a barrier as a black South African into this niche market, into this niche industry that you're currently in right now? What made you just get into this and just start winning instantly, you know?
It was winning instantly. I'd say
I mean, because you're having a large competition, right? You're having all these big institutions, all these advertising companies owned by people who are not from here, right? They're from Europe, most organization. What made you just click?
um, I'm not sure if I could say it, um, so maybe let me maybe take a step back. So these other big companies or big agencies, some of them we've collaborated with them, we've worked with them, we've learned a lot from them. So we know how they work, we know how they win work, and they've collaborated with us. Some of them have helped us. So I would not necessarily say it was more like, and then we kind of get it like, oh, this is how it works. Then we, we are on our way to success. It's been more like a learning process over a period of time. So even now, if there's a need to collaborate with, let's say, any big agency, or then we can just chat to them and then we collaborate. So as much as we are competing, where there's a need, then we would collaborate on some projects. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Yeah, I definitely touched on collaborating with big companies. I was actually interviewing Guy Sterling yesterday. You mentioned this thing of let's say you want to now get funding to actually because there are institutions where you can actually buy a hotel, but if you have at least some bit of money to actually start to actually acquire just 10% at least to just acquire a hotel, and then you can get funding from those big institutions, and you can after then you can actually partner with bone hotels in the hospitality industries. So that's that I actually get it in terms of partnership and sponsorship from other organizations in terms of that manner. In closing off, man, what's your best book that you could share with us today?
I don't necessarily read motivational type of books or business books, if I have to be honest. I usually read African fiction. That's what I like. I like to read. So I would recommend anything by Zex Mda. He has a lot of books. So yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming through. I truly appreciate you for giving me a leg up.
Okay. No, fantastic. And thanks for making time. Sorry, I've just remembered which particular book I like the most from Zex Mda. I think it's called Sculptures of Mapungubwe. Yes, that's the one. All his books